Hello.
Hello, Agent Mills.
Hey, Doctor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. I appreciate you calling me. I just needed to ask you a couple questions. It shouldn't take too long if you have a few minutes.
Yeah, sure.
All right, perfect.
I just kind of forgot about it. I got back in town, and it's just been kind of cleaning up after going on vacation.
Oh, I completely understand. So I'm Agent Mills. Are you kind of familiar with what I'm calling you about, or want to talk about?
I don't know exactly what the line of questioning is about, but I remember the case.
Yes. So
I saw a CT scan. It's like, I just know that there's going to be all kinds of repercussions and waves afterwards.
Okay. So it's Mr. Jermaine Jones Jr. Was the name of the patient. Do you remember treating him?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember when it was? If not, that's okay.
No, I don't.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it was a Thursday.
Okay. And when you treated him, was it in the ER, or was he on a floor already, or?
Yep, I was in the ER.
ER, okay. And what do you remember?
I remember a lot of commotion as he was brought in, and we didn't have space for him in a room, so we started out in the hallway outside of one of our lockup rooms, or outside of our lockup room. I do remember counting between, I guess, police and I'm sorry, I'm going to use the word police just generically.
That's fine.
Law enforcement, as well as our own security people. There were 9 people gathered around this guy. So I remember kind of distinctly counting, like, dang, this is a lot of folks just gathered around this person. It's not unheard of. We've certainly had even more gathered around folks that are particularly rambunctious.
Okay. Is there anything else you remember?
Oh, I remember lots.
Okay. So what do you remember after that?
I remember that he was on the stretcher and the police, again, generic, because of my ignorance. Not our guys. We're trying to figure out how best to shackle him to the bed. He ended up being shackled on the rail, the vertical post of the rail, the bed rail, on either side.
Okay.
And I remember he was really fighting and struggling. People were yelling at him to lay back and, sit down and settle down, and a lot of shouting and yelling. But he kept coming up, and I was actually, I remember being a little concerned and said something to one of the officers that I was concerned about the way that he was shackled with his arm in the bracelet as well as the vertical post, and how that was angled, and him coming up basically completely uncontrolled. I was really actually worried he was going to break his arms.
Okay.
It didn't change anything, though. We couldn't really do much of anything with him because he was just so rambunctious. I don't think I remember him talking any.
Okay.
I don't know if he made noise or yelled or anything, but you couldn't communicate with him. He wasn't following instructions, wasn't doing anything. But he was moving all 4 and continued to try to climb off the bed.
Okay.
That just wasn't going to happen. So we had to give him medication to sedate him a little bit so we could actually do something with him. It's like otherwise trying to examine a bucking bronco or something like that.
Right.
Didn't work so well. So we got some medication, we let that settle down, he simmered down a little bit, and then the next thing we notice is that he's not breathing so good, he's gurgling a little bit as he's trying to breathe, and we're losing control of our airway here on this guy. Something's not right. So we actually dragged him down the hall into our trauma room. It was the only available room that was open at that meantime. And we couldn't turn him on its side because he was shackled on both sides. That was very frustrating because he's trying to vomit.
Right.
You can't turn him on its side because he's pinned down. All you can do is kind of turn his head a little bit, and that's usually not quite adequate. Eventually, in the trauma room, I think we finally got someone to get a key to unlock his shackles so we could manage him a little bit further. And he was still trying to come up off the bed intermittently, but gurgling and not controlling his airway. And the decision was made, we got to take over.
Right.
We're just going to put him down, not as in like a horse, but rather sedate him, paralyze him, and put him on a ventilator.
Okay.
Where we can take over. The entire time, we were kind of thinking, this drug overdose or something like that. I mean, we interrogated the police officers who told us, he said something about he was going to run, and then he got tased, and he's just been acting wild since then. If they told us, I did not hear that he hit his head.
Okay.
It might have changed how we approached it early on, but we didn't have that information. He had a couple other little scrapes and scuffs on him. There was a little spot, I think, on the back, on the sheet, a little slight blood stain, or pale pink. But he was fighting so much we never got a chance to look at the back of his head till much later. And even then it was just a little minor scrape. I think it was one on his left shoulder, too. I don't think that's in the chart.
So you remember a scrape on the rear of his head and his left shoulder?
I remember the one on the shoulder. The one on the back of the head, I think maybe one of the residents saw it. I think that we looked pretty hard, and there was nothing big and obvious.
Okay.
But there was a little, like when you hurt yourself, and it still oozes a little bit later on.
Yes, sir.
So that kind of clear pinkish stuff.
Yes.
A little bit of that on the
sheet.
And, less than a dime size. Okay. I mean, tiny. Kind of easily missed and could have come from anywhere, from an IV access or something like that. I mean, moving his hand or something, or someone, touching the sheet with her gloves.
Right.
But I think he did end up having a little something on the back of his head.
Okay.
But it's not like his head was all black and blue or swollen or, eyes swollen shut or fat lip or anything like that. Like he just kind of a big tussle.
Okay.
Let's see. So we put him down. Then it's like, finally, I think we can do a better job of getting adequate IV access. Because I think we just did a little preliminary stuff and got something, so we put him down. So additional blood draws, and then catheterize and get a urine sample, send that up for drug screen, and get his head CT scan. It's kind of an altered mental status, kind of global workup.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the head CT scan result. I think we pulled it up ourselves and thought, like, oh my God, this changes everything. With subdural hematoma and parenchymal bleed and midline shift, like that just changed it from drug overdose or something, psychiatric outburst to trauma and stat neurosurgery consult, stat trauma consult. I would explain to them why in the world it was taking us so long to call them and get all this initiated. I'm getting rocks thrown at me now from trauma service about the delay. But it was just an undifferentiated patient. We had no idea and didn't have adequate history and couldn't get any history from him.
Right.
And, then neurosurgery says we need to take him level 1 to the OR. And, I don't remember how long it took before we went to the OR, but it was pretty hot mess there on a CT scan.
Okay. You mentioned some of the things that y'all noticed on the CT scan. Is there a way for you to put that kind of into layman's terms a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the subdural hematoma is, there's some different layers and linings there inside the skull of membranes. So this is blood around the brain.
Okay.
The parenchymal hemorrhage basically means it's like the brain is bruised the crap out of. You just see bright white spots just scattered around all over the place. And blood there in the brain takes up space. And inside the skull, there's only so much space.
Right.
So there's brain there. There's some fluid baffled. And anything else that you do that occupies space either has to push something else out of the way and or increase the pressure inside the brain, or both. And when it occupies space, then other things start shifting to try and squeeze some of the fluid out of those fluid baffles that are in there. The brain's supposed to be nice and symmetrical, same size on both sides. And when there's mass effect on one side, then it starts shifting things to the other side, trying to make room.
Okay.
Does that help make sense a little bit?
It does, yes, thank you. So what, generally, when y'all see that, what causes those type of injuries?
Well, usually when we see that, either folks have been in a bad fight, and on the wrong end of the fight, or in a bad car accident, and whack their head.
Okay.
And in retrospect, based on the little bit of information that I have, at least, I assume that when he got tased, he fell and hit his head.
Right.
And one of my colleagues who does he's military and has, I guess, some special forces training, says that tasing and falling and hitting your head is well described, including getting bruising on the brain and these blood clots around the brain.
Okay.
It's a well-known complication of tasing. It's just one part of it. Most folks don't get that, but I guess it's the reason that when officers go through their tasing training, they get tased, and they fall, someone catches them.
Right.
To control their fall.
Okay.
They don't just fall uncontrolled and whack their head and get in trouble.
Okay, so you think, and I know you can't say conclusively, obviously, but would the damage that y'all saw be possible from hitting head on the roadway, or?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
It's not something I have. I mean, granted, I've been at this game for over 30 years, but I don't see
Sure.
how the force is inflicted.
Right.
That result. I just see the result at the end. And it's like, oh crap.
Right. I gotcha. Is there anything else that you can think of that stuck out to you that night? Anything else you think we might need to know about, or anything like that?
It's just kind of the usual stuff. The police officers were interested in taking him to jail. I mean, they were hoping just to have him medically cleared and so they could take him on to jail.
Okay.
I think they were kind of interested in the arrest. I don't know the details of what this guy did.
Okay.
Don't want to know.
Right.
And then I think once they heard he's on the ventilator and he's going to go into the OR and he's not going to be discharged tonight, I think they were pretty much okay. We'll sign off and leave him with you.
Okay. Did you have anything else to do with him after he left the ER, or were you primarily involved in his care in the ER?
I was exclusively involved in his care in the ER.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't think he had. I can't remember if he'd left the department yet before I left off shift.
Okay.
If he was still there. It seems like I signed out the story, but it was just such a crazy story.
I gotcha.
That I told, the follow-up. So he may still have been parked there, and part of the sign-out is always, anyone left in the ER, regardless, even if they're just discharged and waiting on a ride,
Okay.
still a sign over to the next person.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I don't think I have any more specific questions right now. If I do, I'll just reach out to you again if that's okay. And if you think of anything else, I know sometimes, just think of something later, hey, maybe I should have told her this. Feel free to call this number back, or I think there's another number I gave you as my work cell phone on one of the emails. You're welcome to call that too if you remember anything else.
Okay. The case has been, circulating around in my head so often, so much. Other people talk about it. You see in the newspaper, or were you involved in that? Or, oh, you were involved in that. What happened?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we're still waiting.
I don't know if there's many more surprises there. I think I've tried to do that just as objectively as I can.
Right. Yeah, we're still kind of gathering everything together and stuff to give to the district attorney's office. So,
I don't know if you're allowed to say. I got the suggestion maybe from the newspaper and some interviews that the entire encounter was caught on Bodycams.
Yes.
So, as far as what actually happened, should be pretty well documented.
Right, and so we, like the medical examiner's office and everything, they have all, video and medical records and everything, so we're just still kind of waiting on their determination for everything right now, so.
Yeah, if there's anything else that you want to ask me about, please feel free to call me, reach out to me.
Okay, I really appreciate your time. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for giving me a call, and like I said, feel free to reach back out, and I'll do the same if we have anything else.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Do the same. Bye-bye.
Interview ending at approximately 10:56 a.m.